The Darfur conflict was a tragedy that unfolded in the early 2000s. It was a complex conflict with roots in ethnic tensions, land disputes, and political marginalization. The Sudanese government and allied militias, known as the Janjaweed, clashed with rebel groups, leading to widespread violence. This violence resulted in countless civilian deaths and forced displacement of millions. The international community condemned the atrocities. The African Union, or AU, stepped in to try and keep the peace. However, the AU faced an uphill battle in Darfur. They lacked the resources to effectively intervene in such a large and volatile region. The AU troops were often under-equipped and under-trained. The vastness and harsh terrain of Darfur presented logistical nightmares. The AU needed help, and that's where Blackwater entered the picture. The AU's struggles were compounded by the sheer scale of the humanitarian crisis. Millions were displaced, seeking refuge in overcrowded camps. Food, water, and medical supplies were scarce. The international community struggled to provide aid, hampered by insecurity and access restrictions. The situation in Darfur was dire, demanding a swift and effective response. The world watched as Darfur descended into chaos. The human cost of the conflict was staggering. The AU's efforts, while commendable, were clearly insufficient. The situation called for a new approach, one that could address the immediate security needs while also paving the way for a lasting peace. The question was, could a private military company like Blackwater provide the solution? Blackwater, a private military company, bolstered the AU's peacekeeping efforts. They provided training, logistics, and operational support. Their entry into Darfur was a necessary stopgap measure. Blackwater brought experience, equipment, and manpower. They trained AU peacekeepers for challenging environments. Skills included combat readiness and conflict de-escalation. Logistical support was vital for AU operations. Blackwater streamlined the supply chain in Darfur, ensuring timely delivery of essential supplies. Blackwater's presence in Darfur, while welcomed by some, also raised a number of concerns. Critics argued that using a private military company in a peacekeeping role was ethically dubious. Concerns were raised about accountability and transparency. Who would be held responsible if Blackwater operatives were involved in human rights abuses? The profit motive of private military companies like Blackwater was also a source of unease. Critics argued that Blackwater's primary goal was to maximize its profits, potentially at the expense of the humanitarian mission. There were concerns that Blackwater's involvement could further militarize the conflict, making a peaceful resolution more elusive. The lack of transparency surrounding Blackwater's operations fueled suspicions. The company operated in a shroud of secrecy, making it difficult to assess the full extent of their activities or hold them accountable for potential wrongdoings. This lack of transparency eroded trust and fueled speculation about Blackwater's true intentions. The use of Blackwater in Darfur exposed a fundamental dilemma in international peacekeeping. While private military companies could provide valuable services, their involvement raised serious ethical and legal questions. It highlighted the need for greater regulation and oversight of the private security industry, particularly in conflict zones. Section 4. The privatization of peacekeeping implications and challenges. Blackwater's involvement in Darfur brought to the forefront the larger debate about the privatization of peacekeeping. Proponents argued that private companies could provide specialized skills and resources more efficiently than traditional peacekeeping forces. They pointed to Blackwater's logistical expertise and the company's ability to rapidly deploy to crisis zones. However, critics argued that outsourcing peacekeeping to private companies undermined the very principles of neutrality and impartiality that underpinned peacekeeping operations. They argued that profit-driven entities should not be entrusted with the responsibility of protecting civilians or upholding international law. The use of private military companies also raised concerns about the erosion of state sovereignty. Critics argued that relying on private companies could make states overly dependent on external actors, weakening their own security institutions in the long run. The debate over the privatization of peacekeeping reflected the evolving nature of conflict and the challenges faced by traditional peacekeeping models. It highlighted the need to find new and innovative ways to address complex crises, while ensuring that such interventions adhere to international law and ethical standards. Section 5. Lessons from Darfur, Shaping the Future of International Security. The experience of Blackwater and Darfur offers valuable lessons for the future of international security. It demonstrates the potential benefits of leveraging private sector expertise in complex emergencies. Blackwater's logistical capabilities and training expertise undoubtedly helped to strengthen the AU's response in Darfur. However, the controversy surrounding Blackwater's involvement serves as a stark reminder of the ethical and legal complexities of using private military companies in conflict zones. The lack of transparency, concerns about accountability, and the potential for profit-driven motives highlight the need for stricter regulations. Moving forward, the international community must grapple with the question of how to effectively utilize private security actors while mitigating the risks. This includes developing clear codes of conduct, strengthening oversight mechanisms, and ensuring that the use of private companies complements, rather than undermines, traditional peacekeeping efforts. The lessons learned from Darfur are not just relevant to the African context. As the nature of conflict continues to evolve, with non-state actors and hybrid warfare becoming increasingly prominent, the international community must find new and innovative ways to address these challenges. The debate over the role of private military companies is far from over, and the experience of Blackwater and Darfur will continue to shape the discourse for years to come.